Electricity tariff in Nigeria is set to increase by 40% from July 1, which may result in higher costs for Nigerians. The current average tariff is 64 naira per kilowatt, but experts project that it could reach around 88 naira per kilowatt due to the floating of the naira and increasing inflation. Factors such as metering gap, gas prices, losses in actual generation capacity also influence the tariff. The President Bola Tinubu's administration's market reform faces another challenge with the removal of subsidies on premium motor spirits and the floating of the naira, complicating the price setting by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC. So this morning, Adetayo Adegbemle, an energy expert and CEO Power Up Nigeria, is joining me to tell us why this is happening now. Thank you so much, Adetayo, for joining us on Business Edge.
Good morning.
So now that we're seeing that electricity tariff would be rising up to about 40% by July 1, it is meant to actually signal that all forms of subsidy in the energy sector comes to an end. And we now see that even the alternative, which is PMS, that Nigerians make do with to power their businesses, has also had the subsidy removed. So there seems to be no escape route for Nigerians now for these commodities, PMS and energy, which of course they use for their businesses and household needs. Now, I'd like to take your thoughts on this. What do you think about this, looking at the timeliness and the attendant effect it would have on Nigerians and businesses too?
It's rather unfortunate that the power sector finds itself, at this crossroad at this time. Unfortunately, we have also, I was also part of those that have been at the lead of that conversation, that we didn't have any choice but, to remove subsidy. So, something had to go anyway. It's obvious from all conversation, from all data. We're spending more on subsidy per month than we're spending on some ministries per annum. So it's normal that subsidy had to go. The other factor that also comes to play was the removal of the harmonization, of the dollar rate, foreign exchange. So definitely it's also spiked. Now, those are those are factors that are outside the private sector. The power sector. Let's take that one outside. Now, there is a law in the power sector that the regulation that stipulates that there should be 2 energy tariffs per annum. One is a major tariff, which usually happens around November, December, January, and the minor tariff usually happens between July, August, September. So, which now leads us to the conversation that we're having. In that document, there are factors, that were to put into consideration for a prospective tariff review. One of them is the forex. The other one is the rate of inflation, which unfortunately, again, they are all factors that are beyond power sector as is. And that's where my argument has always been, because at the point, people that are active in the advocacy world for power sector, we've been how would I put it? At the point we are saying, oh, no to tariff increase, no to tariff increase. But at the point, I think that was in January 2021, I came to a realization. If we want to change this thing, the law says there should be 2 tariffs per annum. And the people that have been saddled with the responsibility of, enforcing the law, decided to follow that law, right? But what they refuse to review from beginning or at a certain point is the factors that need to be put into consideration to do your review. One of them is inflation. Inflation that we have today is about
22.41.
22.4%, and some people are saying that because of the removal of the subsidy and the harmonization of the forex rate, that we are looking at about 30% any moment from now. We keep that as a factor to be considered. That's one. The last tariff review that was done was done at $441 naira per dollar. And official rate as we speak today hovers between 780 and 800. So what we are saying is we have seen factors that are beyond, nobody can control it in the power sector. We don't have any control over any of these factors. There are external factors that determines what we do in the power sector. So it's like I said, it's just rather unfortunate that tariff review has to find itself at this crossroad at this moment. Yeah, there are arguments that we can put up. I mean, I'm sure we'll get to that as the program progresses. But I mean, I will allow you to take the lead on that.
All right. Now that you've mentioned the fact that it's a deplorable situation and something that cannot be controlled in terms of the price, of course, I probably would want to tie that to the issue of the fact that the sector has been privatized. But then I'd like to just understand, even as we wind back a bit, because some industry players have said that this particular removal is a culmination of what has been happening in the past, where there's been a gradual removal of subsidy on energy in Nigeria. But then that is at great variance with what the Minister of Power said. That is Salim Maman, saying that Nigeria has been paying about 50 billion naira on energy subsidy in Nigeria. So what actually is the true position of things? Is it that there is actually energy subsidy that is being paid, or there's no subsidy and people are just, ripping off from the country? So we'd like to understand that, understand where the actual problem lies.
Well, when we talk of energy subsidy, I'm sure those that are very familiar with the conversation will know that it was since February last year that the Minister of Finance has said subsidy has been removed from electricity tariff. So I don't think we should go back to that conversation now, because the cross subsidy on electricity tariff has been effectively removed as at the end of last year. As in the last tariff review that was done last year, has successfully been removed. So it is not a conversation for us to go back to. I mean, that's my point of view and standpoint. But what we should be speaking to today, you see, in 2020, when the service reflective tariff or service-based tariff was introduced in September 2020, of course, the labor union went on, of course, they came at that time again, not minding the fact that some of us have been warning before. I mean, they came and said because they have the followership, they want to go on strike. And the federal government said, okay, let's go to a review committee which they constituted. And one of the outcomes is interesting, the way we throw away some important documents and such meetings like that. One of the outcomes of that particular meeting was that 6 million palliative meters will be installed for Nigerians. They're trying to close up the metering gap. And it's another thing for you to say my budget for energy for this month is 200 naira. So I mean, any heavy consumers, my freezers, my ACs, instead of using 10 ACs in the house, we start using half AC and stuff like that. But when you have a meter, you can easily control, and say, okay, my income this month is 100,000. My budget for energy is 10,000 naira, and you put that 10,000 on it, and you manage it in-house. All your energy saving bulb, your pumping machine, maybe you run it 3 or 4 times in the day before, you raise it to 1 time and stuff like that. But unfortunately, out of the 6 million meters that was promised to Nigerians, only less than 1 million was installed total. I mean, about the 970,000 meters in total was installed to Nigerians. And in fact, that was also followed with a lot of controversies. So I would have expected that since the new government is coming in with that, we already have the idea that the money funds for those meters was already incurred through World Bank loan. Why are we not having an immediate call to action and say, all right, we're expecting that by July 1st, there's going to be a new tariff. The 5 million meters that was, pending should be rolled out immediately. Now, I'm going to say this. They not sent me officially, but I mean, it's there. As we're speaking right now, even the meter manufacturers today, as we speak today, are already demanding that, since they are also not getting dollar at the subsidized rate that the central bank was giving it out, that prices of meters, which was start about 65,800 or thereabout, presently for single phase, should be reviewed so that they too can do cost recovery. In fact, one of the letters they sent to NERC recently said that they are going to suspend MAP, which was the alternative for people to get metered. They are going to suspend MAP because they can't do cost recovery on their meters. They are selling at 68,000, but the dollar rate has gone from less than 400. If at all some of them are able to get that official rate, they were also getting at the black market rate. So we are saying, they are saying that, starting from July, they will be able to feed the market again with meters. So what is government doing to fill up this gap? And that was why we also have come up with, my organization, I myself, I doubt if anybody else has been as vocal, on this advocacy as I am. I'm talking about going back to 10 years right now, and we're saying, why are we not developing our local manufacturing capacity? We take a loan from the World Bank to feed Chinese companies, to feed, all these foreign companies outside the country. We'll bring in these meters as knockdown, as semi knockdown, or whatever, to come and assemble here, and then to come and, why are we not building our own local industry?
So, Adetayo, what you're saying now is that probably the government did not get its priority right. That is putting the cart before the horse, because of course you would have thought that the government would have factored in the issue of inflation, financial constraints, and of course high cost of living that Nigerians would have to bear, and the fact that, of course, you mentioned the issue with the exchange rate and other situations, that is actually affecting power generation and the tariff that is to be paid by Nigerians. So now that we understand this, what do you think is the appropriate thing that you think the government should have done now that we know that it has not done what it should have?
Well, the interesting part of it is that the MITO regulation says that the review, that's what it means, that because July 1st is just a couple of days away. So what it means is that NERC will have been sitting. Of course, there are procedures that the document also asked for. So there will be sittings, there will have been consultations and stuff going on. And of course, Nigerians have also started kicking. So maybe there are several ways to it. We can either suspend the law, but by suspending that law, what we are doing is just postponing the evil day, right? But maybe what the government should have probably done or should do now is to now go, into to effectively start deploying the palliatives, which, one of them includes the metering that we're talking about.
Okay.
That's one good palliative that we can come in. I don't agree with Labour and some opinion leaders in the power sector that are saying that the tariff should be suspended. Because what that means is that immediately we start shifting goalposts now based on sentiment, then we can continue shifting goalposts on other laws and we will not see anything wrong with that. So, law is the law. So if you don't like the law, let's change the law. Let's speak to the letters of the law. That's what I believe in. But so what that means is, what I understand is, the tariff review will go on, but we should put in mitigating factors, because part of the fallout effect. The report came out this morning that was saying that this goes in remit up to 280 billion naira, to the market operators. What it means is that, you see, if I have the option of paying for light or buying gari that my family will eat, trust me, my brother, I'm going to go with gari first. When my family is alive, then we can now start fighting with the discos. If I am metered, I can budget and say, okay, 2 naira for meter for electricity, then we try and use it for a time before I can recharge another one. But if I'm not metered, I'll give you an instance. A friend of mine called me from Yola recently that said our meter got burnt and blah, blah, blah. Before our meter got burnt, their total monthly spend was about was less than 10,000 naira. But guess what? The first bill they received immediately after the meter got burnt was about 35,000 naira. So what it means is that unmetered customers will bear the biggest brunt of the issue that we're having. All right. And the worst thing that you can do is to disconnect them, which eventually is going to affect the market as is. So we need to try and balance, our approach, mitigate the fallout and the negative effect of the tariff review that we're about to experience coming by July 1st.
All right, for small businesses that are directly affected by this, we know that Nigeria has other sources of energy. Do you think that these small businesses can look by the way of all these alternative sources and see how they can get value in those areas to power their businesses? Are there viable ways by which they can do that? Because, of course, losses are being incurred, and, of course, you discover that they pay more to produce, to offer their services and to produce the products that is being made available for consumers. So what do you think is appropriate in this instance?
All right, you see, speaking to alternative energy, the truth about it is this, and I've been saying this forever, we cannot innovate our ways, out of the kind of problem that we're having right now. We can't innovate our ways by providing, there's no industry in the world, there's no country in the world that is industrialized using alternative energy sources. Interestingly, I was just having the conversation a couple of minutes before we came on air with some, with some groups of friends, and we're talking about the fact that the present tariff review is going to try and standardize and normalize the cost of solar energy. So, what we mean is, by the time we're getting here, the cost of solar energy is going to probably be cheaper than the grid energy. Even at that, there's a reason why the grid energy remains the most stable. There's a reason why no country in the world has been able to industrialize using, renewable energy or using alternative sources. So, the alternative sources will be there, but what that means is that our SMEs will continue to be non-competitive. The cost of production will continue to be high for them. And of course, there's no way you can compete with people that are able to produce through grid sources and able to produce through cheaper grid sources. So, yes, while the alternative sources are there, it is also not exactly an alternative.
All right.
Diesel, for instance, the price of diesel, for instance, from the last check I made was about I think 1,000 naira per liter now. So it's not as if the forex or the subsidy removal is not affecting everybody across board. It's affecting everybody across board. So it's not as if we have an alternative or a shortcut out of this challenge that we are facing.
All right, Adetayo. Now, finally, President Tinubu recently signed the 2023 Electricity Act. That was actually meant to replace the Electricity and Power Sector Reform Act of 2005, and that was meant to actually address the sitting challenges that we are currently experiencing now in Nigeria. Do you think that this will change anything? I just need a response in about a minute.
All right, good. The law itself is a very wonderful idea. It's a very wonderful. For me, it's a dream come true, because I've been at the forefront of advocacy for states to be able to also have the input into resolving the problems that we have. But what you should note is that the law itself is not the solution. It is in the implementation of the law, the interpretation and the application and implementation of this law, that will determine how successful the law itself is going to be. I'm going to say this, and I've been saying it. Nobody's expecting states to cough out money from their pocket. What we are saying is that 36 states should not come out with their unique selling points, their strong points. What do they have? If they have consumers, let them come and tell us we have consumers to buy energy from you if you come and invest in our states. Lagos State is at the forefront of this. Lagos State is the only state. Yes, Lagos State, Edo State, Kaduna, I think maybe Akwa Ibom. They've come up with positions and stuff. But Lagos State is the only state that has documents, policy documents, that has laws that you can read and say, okay, this is the direction the state is going. None. Edo State claim that they have a copy of the draft at the State Assembly. Osun State too recently came up and said they are working on one. But until these things become a reality, and investors can look at how they can pump money into Osun State, how they can pump money into Lagos State, what are the challenges, how they can. There are also arguments around, is it possible to have two distribution line or two energy market? There are arguments along that line. It's the law of these states that are going to clear this argument and clear the path for investors to now bring in the money that the Electricity Act 2023 promises to bring to the sector.
Well, the way we see it now, Nigerians would have to pay more over what they are currently paying now, as we see it, and there seems not to be any form of respite coming by the way of Nigerians and the policies that we see. But then we just hope that something will be done, because it's the ordinary man on the street that will suffer this. Okay, so I would have, Adetayo, I'm sorry, I would have loved to entertain you. Okay, I'll just give you 30 seconds, all right? Just 30 seconds to just wrap up.
All right, let me say this. It's not all doom for Nigerians.
Okay.
This is an uncharted course for Nigerians. Of course, I mean, this is probably first time we're having to face the market as market. This is capitalism at its core. And it's going to throw up a lot of opportunities for Nigerians. So don't despair. Let us look for the opportunities that are in this. Instead of despairing and saying, oh, well, we are not dead. We are going to survive this. And it offers opportunities for anybody that can come up with innovative ideas.
All right. Well, we'll see how the opportunities will come. But then thank you so much, Adetayo, for joining us.
You're welcome. You're welcome.